Best podcast in the world. Wagwan. Best podcast in the world. Wagwan.
Drew along pan a topic, all up on a rocket. Muscle confusion, him a try make logic. Drew yourself and stop it when Rochelle upon a unicorn. Common sense, so coming back to base like a uniform. Wagwan. Best podcast in the broadcast. Listen when indoors, listen first class. Talk about enough things, make you start laugh.
Best podcast in the world. Wagwan. Best podcast in the world.
Wagwan, everybody, Wagwan.
Yeah, we're there.
Greetings from the Most High. Joe.
Jesus Christ.
All right, guys, just a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. We have a YouTube channel. If you don't already know, now you know. The YouTube channel is the Wagwan Podcast. Please subscribe, like, and share any of our content. Feel free to tell a friend.
Yes. And if you want us to talk about something that you want to hear about, email us at wagwanpodcasts@gmail.com, WAHGWAN podcast@gmail.com. Again, and we're also on Instagram. Follow us, comment. Yeah.
We're also found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, Amazon Music, and all your other favorite streaming platforms. If it's a platform for streaming, we are definitely on it. Make sure you check us out.
How you guys doing?
Yeah, take it easy.
Not too bad.
I am not. Rochelle just upset my life.
How's
Thank you. I have now done my duty. Thank you.
Because she told me that tomorrow the temperature is starting at 6 degrees.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not wow. That is ouch.
That's a CT lifestyle. CT.
Well,
Well,
if we
New
are at
York
6,
is
we
not
not
far
got
from
10.
that,
So we
okay?
don't know what you're talking about.
You want me to tell you what the weather gonna be? What's gonna go start off with?
Probably
I
In
already
the
saw it. 32 degrees. I saw it. 34 or something like
probably.
that.
Ain't no way we're that far off. You're probably gonna be 10 degrees.
Exactly. Y'all gonna start off at 15.
What time you talking about though? When nobody go outside?
You know, but if people going outside or not?
Yeah, I guess so.
You're
Cause the heat start fumble at them times there.
Mm.
Right, Dre?
Fumble. That's funny. He fumble.
Yeah. So what we are talking about today?
So today, I think we said we were going to talk about parenting and what do the kids owe us? Do they owe us anything? And I know Mr. Barber have some strong out there feelings. So Barber,
Yeah.
you take the lead. What do you think kids owe parents? Or what do you
That's a
think
great-
about parenting as it relates to kids owing parents anything?
That's a great question. I'm of the firm belief that a child owes a parent nothing, but yet a parent owes a child everything, because none of us asked to be here. Not one single one of us said, yo, I want to be born. You know, that was our parents' decision. So it's up to them to set up the type of lifestyle that they want for their kids. And in return, if a parent gives and pours into a kid, they will reap unlimited benefits from it. So I think it's a catch-22. You know, you owe them nothing, but if you give them everything, sometimes for the most part, you will reap so much benefits. Sometimes not so much. Sometimes you'll get an ungrateful little bastard. What about you, Dre?
I think you're right. I think kids did not ask to be here. And because they did not ask to be here, we should treat them with the utmost love and care for them because, they are our responsibility. They literally are only here because of us. So, in that train of thought, yeah, we owe the kids everything that we can give them, right? But where you and I part is I do believe that kids owe the parents when they get older, in terms of, not to say, in terms of you have to take care of me when I'm an old man, but in terms of you owe me respect. You owe me to become a productive citizen. You owe me to become a responsible adult. You owe me to accept the teachings I'm giving you and make something out of yourself so I can be proud of my handiwork. You don't just get to come reap all these benefits that I will be providing you, and in return you just skate through life. No, sir. I don't subscribe to that. Not in the least.
Yeah. What about you, Rochelle?
So I agree. Kids did not ask us to be here, right? We go put them up anywhere that they were and we brought them here. And I think our duty as parents is to love them unconditionally and just become the best role models for them and be transparent with them. Like, if we're not perfect, so obviously we are going to make mistakes, but by us making mistakes, we can be big enough to say, listen, I'm not perfect and I did not mean to hurt you. Everything that I'm doing is because I love you, right? And sometimes I may not make the best decisions. However, just know that everything I do is out of love. And then I believe that our kids, they don't owe us anything. But just because of the way that we love them and treat them, and they know that everything we have done is big, is to make sure that their future is brighter and bigger than ours, then they in turn should have that respect, should want to learn from us. And as we get older and we now become big babies, it's now their turn to take care of us because we took care of them when they were younger. So that's my take on the matter.
What about the kids who get everything and they end up turning spoiled, or they just want nothing to do with their parents after, or the family business?
That word, they got everything, you need to explain what that is, because are you talking everything physically? Because I feel like a lot of times we give kids physical. However, when it comes to being there emotionally, listening to them, right? Taking care of their psychological needs. A lot of times when those needs are met, that is when we try to force all these physical things onto them. So could you just break that down a little bit more for me?
I mean, like that rich Wall Street couple who had a kid and got a Jamaican nanny.
Brand new!
And, that Jamaican nanny raised their kid and gave all the love that she had, but it wasn't from the parents. And now they turn the kid almost like doesn't respect the parents anymore.
Okay, and you answered the question. They didn't give the kid anything. The nanny gave the kid everything, right? So we as parents, we think physical, right, is everything our kids need. And as you can see, I don't know if you've ever been around kids. You can buy them the biggest toy. it will only make them happy for 2.3 seconds, right? What kids want, they want your time. I think kids and women have a lot in common, because men will go out and they'll work and they'll buy the most expensive gifts, they'll buy the most of this and the most of that, and the lady's just like, I just want your attention. Like, I just want your time. Like, money is good. Yeah, I get it. All right. But if you can give me 3 hours of undiluted time with you, then that is even more than buying me the Cartier ring that you had to work 6 months for, right? Or whatever. And kids are the same. So just like what you said, the parents didn't spend time with the kid. The parent pushed all these physical things onto the kid and thinking, oh, that's going to make the kid happy, when all the kid wanted was to spend time with mommy and daddy. Now, I know a famous celebrity who, my aunt, she is a hospice nurse, and she went to this home, and it was a Jamaican lady, right? Very old, she has cancer, in her last stages. And there was a celebrity up in that house crying, bawling for the lady. And my aunt, she was just like, what? And then they were like, yeah, like she was his nanny. Like, even when he was a teenager, the parents, because the parents were movie stars as well, they weren't around the kids because they were always off filming movies. They were always off, traveling the world or whatever. This Jamaican old nanny, this little Jamaican lady, she was with them their entire lives, and therefore they bawled, and they paid for everything for this lady, everything, and they were front and center, even more than when their own parents died. They were not adamant, they weren't so upfront, even in their parents' end of days. So it's who is there, who is present. And I think that's where we all get it mixed up as parents. What about you, Dre?
Like I said, I think I agree with you, that it's only right. Not that I'm looking for it, but I think when we get older, it's only right to expect the offspring that you have poured so much in to reciprocate some of the love and affection and effort that you put inside of them, because at the end of the day, it's once a man, twice a child, right? And so, yeah, I'm an adult now, but eventually I'm gonna be wearing diapers again, and I'm gonna need your help to life is a cycle. And it's funny, I was just talking to somebody, and they were saying, oh, the kids are getting so old. I was like, yeah, we're all rushing to die.
Yeah. Yo, I think it's a funny thing though, because everybody has a different style of parenting, and there's no handbook of what is right and what's wrong. I live in a building, and there's this lady who's parenting her child, and I just get little excerpts of it. And in her mind, I'm sure she thinks she's an amazing parent. And she says to her child, yo, stop being a little bitch. And the child said, like you? He's about maybe 7, I want to say. And yo, I tell you, yo, she went off and started hitting him in the face. And she said, don't you ever disrespect me. You the kid and I'm the parent. Don't you ever talk to me like that. And so in her mind, she thinks she's a great parent. So I think is really like, everybody has their idea of what a great parenting is. Dre thinks, is a little bit discipline. Some parents may not believe in hitting, and those kids may become worse, but they thought they was doing a good job by not hitting, and vice versa. Is very like there's no right answer and no, there's a couple of wrong answers, but it's like, who knows how you will raise your child to make them want to love you back when they get older? It's hard. It's a very hard thing.
So so that 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 woman, was that a woman?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. A
That
Hispanic lady.
woman don't know how to raise a child.
But in her mind, she does.
She wrong.
But somebody could say you wrong for wanting to beat your children, a Caucasian
Yeah,
person that's very like,
you too. You don't believe in beating the kids.
no, I mean, you know what? I don't believe in it for myself, but I understand why people do it. I got beaten and I feel like it helped me in a way. You know what I'm saying?
So wait, so you used to get whooping, and you also agree that the whooping helped you, but you don't think it's good for your kids?
Yes.
Okay, that must be confusing.
No, it's not. It's based on, like, to me, my mother didn't know how to raise a boy and she had to raise me by herself. So she was she didn't know how to do it properly. But if you are brilliant in the mind, you will never have to put your hand on your child.
Snap! So everybody who beat their kids is stupid. They have
I mean, no, there's different.
less intellectual horsepower than you.
I would say there's different levels. There's brilliant, there's intelligent. I'm just saying a brilliant mind wouldn't have to touch their child, but can make their child feel pain. Like, some of the most worst pain we ever feel is emotional. As you said in the Beat the Child episode, you would get a beating and then get to go back to do right what you was doing again, right? Whereas if you take away a kid's game, that may hurt them for months and months. As a matter of fact, nowadays, if you take away a kid's game, they may start plotting your death.
So I think that, well, let's go back to that woman in wherever she was. That woman, and people do that a lot. People treat kids like kids, and when treat kids like adults, and when they act like adults, they get mad. They get mad at them and say stuff like, "I'm the parent, you're the child." You've been treating this kid an adult all this
Person in
time.
front of him and all of that.
Of course. So when
Yeah.
that kid sees you cursing, acting the fool, he thinks, "Oh, this is normal. Oh, so let me do it too." So these parents treat the kids like adults and then get upset at them when they start acting like adults, right? You've been cursing, you've been acting the fool in front of this kid. So this kid looks at it and says, "Oh, this is what we're supposed to do. Oh, so I'm gonna do it too." Then they do it, and you smack them over in the head, or you do all sorts of rubbish, when the reason they're doing it is you. And I think that is one of the reasons why I don't hit my kids as much as people think when I talk about hitting the kids. Because
Yeah.
I understand that a lot of the kids, like when I see my kid, um, okay, I'll give you an example. So when I was younger, right, my dad sent me into his wallet to get $1 to take to school to buy lunch, right?
Yeah.
Back when $1 was a lot of money. I went in his no, was it $5? No, it was $10. I was supposed to get $10 and I took out $100. That's what it was. And I
How old was
intentionally,
you?
I mean, I was less than 6. No, not less than 6. I was about 6, 7 at the time. Because I think I was going to infant school at the time. So I take out $100, and I knew I was taking out $100
What do you mean by you knew?
because I knew the difference between $10 and $100. $10.
I would argue that case right there. I would argue that a 6-year-old doesn't know anything about money. But go on.
I know numbers, and I
Yeah.
knew at the time that $100 was more than $10.
But
That
did you know
means
that it was like you need to have more responsibility? Did you know that what $100
no.
can buy?
Yeah, I knew. I knew
You knew the
$100 was.
seriousness of money at 6
I
years old?
I knew that $100 is going to be able to buy me more food at lunchtime when I want to go buy me curry chicken and white rice box lunch.
Mercy.
Right? I knew $100 was gonna be able to buy me more than $10. So when
Yeah.
I show up with my $100, and the people them that show you how different time is. The folks, when I showed up with the $100, the folks said we don't have any change, and I had to bring the $100 back to class and ask the teacher for change. And the teacher called my dad and told my dad, today, the people, the vendors would take the $100, give me one box lunch, and give me $10 change. I'm just, you know,
Yeah.
it's despicable. But anyway, so my dad comes and he goes, "Oh, he must have made a mistake. I told him to get 10 and he took 100. It's 1 and 0, so he, you know, probably thought it was the same." I knew what I was doing, right? So when I tell my daughter, we tell our daughter now, she's in school, and we're like, "Hey, you are eating too much candy, so we're not going to put any money on your account for you to buy lunch. We're going to send you lunch." So my daughter goes and takes $20 and brings it to school. And
Takes it from where?
I don't remember if it's my wallet she took it from or if it was her piggy
savings.
bank or where,
Yeah.
I don't remember where she took it from. But when she did it, I laughed. I was just like, "Yep, I knew that." So when she came home, all she got was, we just had a conversation. "Hey, you can't bring money to school because they won't take the money." The teacher called and told us. The same
Oh,
exact
yeah,
thing.
it was
The
like
teacher
a
called and told
flashback.
us.
Flashback.
Yeah. So, I look at that and I say, well, you know what? They come from me. So a lot of what they're doing, it's coming from me. So I can't punish her for traits that I remember I had or I have.
I'm gonna argue with both of you guys. I don't know if Rochelle stands on that side, but I'm gonna say a human being under the age of 11 doesn't understand the true value of money.
You may be right, but they can be taught at 11.
Yeah, at 11 and after, they could more so understand, hey, this is an exchange of time. This $100 is super harder to get than this $10, and therefore it must be guarded. If you spend $10, you're supposed to get $90 back. I don't think a 6-year-old would know that, yo. I'm gonna have to argue with you guys on that one.
No, I agree, but they know that one is more important than the other. They maybe can't tell it in a way that you just expressed it, but they know, like, I think the trick is if you give them $6 $1 and if you give them one $10, and if you say to them, which one is more, right? I think then they're gonna be like, the $6 $1, because that's 6.
That's more
right?
paper.
Right.
That's more paper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But again, and that is why I believe we don't even need to wait for schools to teach our kids these things.
Yes.
We need to make the onus on ourselves to teach our kids the value. And that is why I believe you should never give your child anything. You need to let them acquire everything so they know nothing in life comes free. And anytime somebody giving you something for free, you need to question why and question what is it that you're giving up for whatever is coming. And you can start off at an early age. Like, oh, I want this. Okay, so are you going to give me 2 of your toys for this? They will understand. They will get it. Especially if it's 2 of their favorite toys that you're going to be sacrificing for something else. They're going to understand that everything comes with a price. And I think we can start it off very, very early with our kids.
Yeah. I'll tell you a funny story. When I was like 7 or 8, my mother said she told me she put $100 in my pants, my school uniform, and I wore it to school. And till this day, I don't know if it's just her telling me the story or what, but I don't remember seeing the money, but I also could remember maybe seeing it and maybe giving it to a friend and it was $100, but I don't really remember. I was too young. But for years and years, I didn't bring the money back home, and my mother would ask me for it for years and years. And I remember just feeling so bad that I lost my mother's $100 bill. And as an adult now, I'm like, damn, like that is such a emotional roller coaster to put a kid through. Put money in their hand and then blame them for losing it when you never taught them what money was or what it does or what it's about. And I just remember feeling bad like every time my mother would bring it up as a little youth. Like I would come home and she's like, you still not find my $100 yet? But, you know, in her mind, she thought she was doing amazing parenting probably, you know, but to put this little child through this, like, I don't even know what that did to me in today's society. You know what I mean? What that what that changed in me. Like if I get more nervous than the average human being because of that and stuff like that. So
Ali, so mine is kind of opposite to your story. So
yeah.
I grew up in a very strict Christian home, and me and my mom to this day, we argue about what I wear, how my hair is, jewelry, like to this day, the color of my nails. To this day, my mom and we do not agree, period, on anything. So from very, very early, I knew that my mom would never buy the clothes that I want to wear. She will never get me what I want. So I would save. Like I had that zeal from they were starting to give me money. I had the most money in my house at all times in that house.
Yeah.
Because I knew I wanted to go get those cute little mini skirts, and my mom was not gonna buy no skirt that was above my knee.
She was
Right?
gonna let you wear it.
Dre, I wasn't wearing that out of my mom's house. I waited until I got to where they dropped me off. I always have my bag, and then I change into my outfit that I bought. And then before they pick me up, I go change off back and put on her outfit. Listen,
what age was this?
This was as young as I can remember. Like this is from primary school. So this is maybe, what age was that? Maybe 6, 7, 8. I was already saving, and in my lunchtime, I would go to the higglers that sell clothes close to the school, and I would go buy my little skirts, my little blouse, right? I would save up all my money. I wouldn't buy food. I wouldn't buy no lunch. I would starve until I get home, and then I would eat my dinner. I guess that's why I was always so, so skinny as well. I'm not anymore because I love food now. I realize how amazing food is now. But I knew the value of money, and not because my parents taught me, but because in my heart, I knew what I wanted, right? So I think sometimes too, our kids, they learn the street smarts. My mom never told me to go hide and change off into what I wanted. My mom would never teach me that, but I knew that, right? So I think, again, kids pick these things up. I don't know where they get it from because I can't tell you where I got it from, but I got it from somewhere, So it's about kids just trying to be resourceful again, So what do you think about that? Do you think that is something that we should teach our kids to be street smart, or do we then rely on faith to teach them to be street smart? What do you think, gentlemen?
I think you didn't was getting enough licks. Were you a child that got a lot of
Oh
spanking?
my God. Let me tell you something. My mom was a teacher. Okay. So that means everybody in the school has the ability to beat me and nothing gonna come out of it. Easy. Okay. I had my own hanger, the little board hangers. I don't see them now. But back in the day, the little board hangers, I had
You had one
several.
with Rochelle name on it, one specially dedicated to you.
Not one, several. Okay. So anything my mom got, I was gonna get beat with it. Okay. And I was a child who I was gonna be like, just bring these licks so I can go back and do exactly what I was doing before. And I know my kids are the same way. That's why I know that hitting is not effective. Because whatever you're gonna hit me, I'm just gonna take it and I'm gonna go back and do exactly what I was doing before I got this beaten. I didn't care. I made up my mind. Oh, you're just gonna beat me? All right, that's fine. I can take it because I'm still gonna do what I want to do.
So I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up because that is my opinion as well. And let me illustrate what I just said. Explain, elaborate on what I just said. I think beating works based on the person, based on the child you have. Like my children, if I raise my voice, they cry. If I raise my voice, they cry. I think last year, the entire year, I may have hit my oldest child twice the whole year. And hitting them is telling them, turn over the back of your hand and let me hit you on the back of your hand. That's hitting, right? I think I'd hit her twice the whole year. So when you hear me talking, you probably think I'm like a maniac with a belt chasing them down and beating them like crazy. But I know that, hey, my goal is to reprimand. And the emotion, the response that I get when I raise my voice is similar to the response I'd like if I were to beat. So I don't need to beat. Remember when we were talking about having a conversation about beating the kids? I said people who don't have self-control shouldn't be hitting the kids. Obviously, you gotta know and have the wherewithal to understand that you don't have self-control, right? But when when I think back and look at how much I pour into my children, how much love, effort, money, time, all of these different things that I pour into my kids, watching them cry and to know that I am the one that's causing them the pain that they're feeling, that hurts me. So, but I also don't shy from if I think whatever they did rise to the level that they need a spanking, that they're gonna get it.
So Dre, let me ask you, let me look at it from a different way. Do you think that your kids are manipulating you and that they're not really but they just, kids, I'm gonna tell you something. Kids are some of the most manipulative people on the face of the planet. They start learning manipulation from as early as 6 weeks old, right? Do you think that's just a form of manipulation because they know you're not going to hit them and they know you feel bad? So they're just like, oh God, just so that you just know, all right, I'm gonna raise my voice. Do they stop the behavior or do they just make the noise and then go back and do exactly what they were doing before?
Yo, the kids love to manipulate. That's real.
So I hear.
Hold on, even a baby knows how to manipulate.
From 6 weeks old. 6 weeks.
Telling you.
My daughter's manipulating my wife right now. The baby manipulates the crap out of my wife. So
you don't be falling for it, right, Dre?
Hell no. Yo,
How old is she?
She's 2 now.
Okay.
We in the house, me and her would be home all day. My wife would go and do whatever she's doing. We're in the house, and this girl doesn't make a peep. My wife gets home, a whole heap of crying and throwing fits and, temper tantrums. And I'm like, I look at my wife and I'm like, she did not even mumble the whole time you weren't here. This is because of you.
And how's your wife's reaction?
Nothing. I mean, it's her last baby. They call it. This is the wash belly. They call it, right?
No, so she's jumping to her attention at every moment she
Yeah,
can.
man. My
Okay.
daughter goes. My wife. Everybody does it. My daughter, my son. Everybody runs to her. She's the queen of the house. And I'm sitting there in the house. She's crying, and I'm like, yo, stop the crying. And then they all, I see them. They all get sad because I'm reprimanding her. So like I'll say something to Lori and she'll run to go cry to her mom. And then I see the other two running to go, soothe her. And I'm like, sit down. Where the hell you going? So yes, I do understand that kids are manipulative. But when I do my correction, I hear them correcting each other. So they're using my correction to correct each other. So the older one would check the younger one would check the older one. Daddy said, I don't think that the chastisement is going um um for naught. I think that it does work. Now obviously the kids, and so you got to correct them over and over and over for the same things. And that's when I get frustrated and I spank. Because if I got to talk to you 50 million times about the same thing, either my talking ain't working, well, not either. My talking is not working. So now we got to try something else.
Dre, let me ask you a question.
So,
The kids owe it to you to be a model citizen. They don't necessarily have to give you anything back. I have a two-part question. Do you feel like your parents did what it took, raised you in a way to become a model citizen? And the second part is, what is it that you have to do to create that model citizen in your kids? How do you create that?
that's a good up question right there. So first things first, my mother gave me way too many whoopings. I got way too many whoopings. So let me say that to begin. If you talk to her, she will tell you that I am the man I am today because of the whooping she gave me. I disagree. However, I do think that my parents did a good job raising me to be a good human being. They taught me right from wrong. Um, they taught me right from wrong, and they did the best they could as it relates to how to interact in society and so on and so forth. So in that sense, yes, my parents did do their job in raising me to be a good human being. What was the second part to your question?
What do you have to instill in your kids now to make sure
Uh-huh.
that they grow up and be a good human being or a
The
model
same,
citizen?
the same thing. Do I just told my daughter a couple of days ago. I said, "Do you know what honesty is?" She said, "No." I said, "Honesty is when you're doing the right thing, no matter if someone's watching you."
Reatin.
Yeah, and that's what character is. Character is who you are when no one is around to see what you're doing. That's what your true character is. And
Right.
so So yeah, that's what I need to do. I need to teach my kids true character. I need to teach them what character is and what good character is, and help them grow and help them grow those kinds of traits to make you know put together as many positive traits as possible to embody good character. That's what I think my role is.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is example. A lot, like most of the teachings you will teach your children, they learn from watching you. It's not about what you say. Most of what you teach your kids is what you do. So if you, just like that woman who cursed at her kid, and when the kid cursed back, she beat the kid is paying more attention to what you do than what you say, because most kids don't listen. That's why you gotta beat the kids, man, because it's what you do.
So most kids
Jerry,
don't
but you
listen, they
just
watch.
contradict yourself, because you can say all you want to say, but if you're living a lifestyle and you beat the child, it don't matter how much you beat the child don't live the same thing that you're just doing. It has nothing to do with you beating them. It has nothing to do with what you're saying. It has everything to do with the example. And that is what I agree with, right? And I believe the only way we can grow up our kids, the only way that we are going to get the returns, because I do believe they're an investment. It's a moral investment, it's an emotional investment, it is a financial investment that you're making in your children, right? And all of that investment pays off if you invest well. So if you're not emotionally investing in your kids, but you're only financially investing in the kids, then guess what? They're going to make sure that you're taken care of. They're going to put you in a beautiful home that's going to have all the helpers you can have, financially invest in you, but they will never be there for you emotionally. And I've seen that because I worked in that era for a very long time. And I see people who made sure their kids were well set. These kids were financially well off, and the parents were good. They had 24-hour care, right? And yet these parents, the grandparents, were utterly miserable because the kids, they were like, well, you never spend time with me. So why am I spending time with you now? Like, I got work to do, just like, oh, you had work to do. So we have to find that middle ground to know that, yes, it's good to financially invest in our kids, but emotionally, we have to be there for them, because that is going to be the big payoff. And that is what I want, right? That is literally what I want in the end for my kids.
Yeah. I had an aunt, and well, Rochelle, first and foremost, let me ask you, what do you want from your kids and when they become adults, and did your parents do that for you?
That's a good question. What do I want for my kids? I want my kids to be, one, I want them to be financially well off. I don't want them to be depending on anybody for anything. I want them to be able to be self-sufficient, right? And I want them to be not just educated by the books, but just educated in what they want and where they need to be and how they're going to achieve it. Because I'm not sure if it was either Ali or Dre who said that many people had dreams, right? Everybody have dreams, but how do you get to that dream? How do you acquire that dream? That is where a lot of people, they don't have that. And that's the knowledge that I want my kids to have. And I think my parents, they are big believers in education, being very traditional as a Caribbean family. You have to be a teacher, a nurse, a doctor, or a policeman, just the very basic occupations. And they made sure that school was a big part of that. They stressed that. So I think they laid the foundation for where I am and for who I am today. My fight, my perseverance, my, just unapologetically being Rochelle every day, no matter what. that is definitely from my parents.
And what
And
is
I
it that they did? What did they do in particular? What?
So they made sure that they stressed education. They made sure I went to the best schools. They made sure that even when I said I wasn't going to go back to school because I know they don't have no money, they went out and they took loans that I was not going to take. They took loans to make sure that I went to college. They made sure they were on top of whatever I was doing. And that was definitely setting me up for success when it comes to where they saw me in the future.
Did they lead
And
by example?
yes, so my mom, even when she stopped, because she was a teacher, my mom was a teacher, and then she became a probation officer. Even when she was a probation officer, she went back to school and she studied. Even, I mean, it was a couple years ago that she stopped attending school. And even my dad, like, he would go back and he would do different courses. So that kind of was an example for me to say, listen, going back to school is a necessity. Like, that is something that you're going to do. And not necessarily going to college or university, but just going back and learning new courses, upgrading on whatever knowledge, because every day things are changing. So just making sure that I am always learning something new constantly. So yes, they did make that example for me, and I am also doing that for my kids, because I just finished school and I do want to go back to school, so my kids know, like, education is not even a question. Even today, at the start of the day, I had a meeting with them, with my girls, and we kind of sat down and we set long-term goals, and we kind of put that in the atmosphere, and we kind of claimed it. And then we are finding the way that we're going to achieve our long-term goals as individuals. So yes, I think I am doing that for my girls as well. What about you, Andre?
I love my mother. Let me first off start by talking about a story that happened to me on the second day of the new year. My woman and I's puppy. So my dog raped my girl's dog before the dog was of age to give birth to children, So before she should have had sex, but she was having her period. And randomly on New Year's, my woman said, something don't feel right. It feels like something's moving in my puppy's belly. And the next day she was giving birth. True story. This happened Sunday. Right after she gave birth, she killed 2 out of 3 of the puppies. Not knowing, it wasn't on purpose. I would say that my mother didn't have the best tactics of raising us as children, my brother, she allowed him to go around our cousin who had him bagging up drugs at 12 years old. She was so focused on financially meeting it for us, but not focused on mentally meeting it for us. I would ask her questions and she would just be like, I don't know. Hey, mom, can you help me with this homework? I don't know. Did you see where I put this thing? I don't know. And it was basically like I could never talk to her. I would say that now with me raising my child, I'm there to answer as much questions as possible. Whenever she has a question, I'm going to try to explain everything. And another thing I want to say is my grandmother raised me and she was a very religious woman. So now, even though I don't believe in religion, I feel like the Seventh-day Adventist Church had so much of a big role in playing with me becoming more of a positive than negative person. Like, churches was so important, that family, the group of friends that weren't up to anything terrible, the elders, like one lady in church, I said this before, She said, walk with your head up. You're so tall. Don't put your head down. Why are you looking down to other people? So, yes, it's a parent thing. And I think church helps out a lot. Grandparents help out a lot. And it takes a village to raise a child. Because sometimes, just like you see mentally ill people in the street, that can be somebody's parent. Somebody's parent can be mentally ill. That's all I want to say. That was a lot. Everybody got quiet.
Well, you had something to say, so.
Yeah, that's
So-
that's a lot of detail.
So what do you think kids owe parents? Nothing at all.
It's like a lottery ticket. I feel like if you put in the right work, you will reap back so much benefits without even having to ask. Like so much. Like the same thing I'm talking about. Your daughter Dre will remember when you helped her with her homework, or when she was trying, like these flashbacks will come back as adults, and shape the kid. And she's either going to have an amazing memory of you, or she's not going to have an amazing memory. And that is what they owe you. When they have an amazing memory of you, they owe you whatever it is in their possibility to make you happy, because they remember that you did your best. And simultaneously, if you was like, yo, I don't know, if you stop asking them if they did their homework after the 8th grade, like me, and they became a C student, they're going to remember that too. So they owe you as much as you put into them. If you put the world into them, and it wasn't just financial, as Rochelle said, it was physical, it was eye contact. I think eye contact and laughing with your kid is one of the most important things in answering them and teaching them about the world, not just assuming they know what money is, but really explaining everything. Like, for instance, my father wasn't around too much. My father didn't really teach me a lot. But what I remember about my father was every other Sunday, he would take me and my brother to this park and we would play chess. And I love chess till this day. And I think about how he tried to make his sons young chess prodigies. And so I owe my father a chessboard.
Perfect.
That was a joke, of course, but yeah, you owe your parents what they give you. If they give you the world, you owe them the world.
I was about to say, he tried to make you a chess prodigy, and all you owe him is a chessboard. Something wrong there.
Yeah,
Something's wrong right there.
but I don't expect anything. I think expectation is the thief of joy. If you expect for your child to become a certain way and they don't, then you're going to be disappointed, and it's going to show up in the way that you speak to them in their teens, in their adult life. I have a cousin who I used to do a podcast with, and he's an asshole. And his son ended up not talking to him for his whole life. And I was like, damn, that's so messed up. But later on, I stopped talking to him, and I would understand why his son stopped talking to him for his whole life. You get what I'm saying?
No.
I'm saying he may have thought he was doing a great job as a parent, but his son saw something in him that made him stop wanting to talk to him. And later on, I saw it, even though he had all the words to say, yo, I did this for him, I did that, I tried my hardest, blah, blah, blah. I eventually saw that, the asshole outshines the you trying to do the right thing. It's about just genuinely being a great person and knowing that a glass is unable to make itself. And that's why I say we're gods, because your child knows nothing without you. And they'll learn some things, but you don't want them to learn from the street. My mother at 15, and this is one thing I rate my mother for. At 15, I came home and I said, I'm stressed because of this girl. And she gave me my first shot of rum and was like, yo, drink this. And I feel like that shot of rum made me
How
not
old
become
were
a
you?
15. White rum, Ray and Nephews. Shameless
Mm.
plug. Sorry, I'll cut that out. I feel like that shot of rum made me not fiend to drink. I have a friend and he's older. And at 15 years old, he found out his daughter was having sex. And you know what he did? He did the most controversial thing ever. This man put his daughter at 15 years old on birth control. He said having a child is not a choice. You're not going to have a child by mistake. You're going to know when you have a child. And a lot of people would be like, damn, yo, like, you know, somebody would take parenting, good parenting, and say, nah, you just tell her don't have sex yet. But he knew his daughter was going to have sex and she was into sex. So he put her on birth control. And till this day, she doesn't have a child. What do you guys think about that? Putting your child on birth
Okay,
control at
all right.
15. Find
So,
out they're
so
having
to me,
sex.
there's several things leading up to this. You don't just, I think that is why transparency is so important, all right? Not just for girls, but for boys too. You have to teach them about themselves. Ali, I disagree with the statement you made where you said a child would never learn without your parents. First of all, we put a computer, we put a phone, we put a tablet in them kids' hands from early. Trust me, half of the stuff that we're going to want to teach them later on, they already know, right? And I believe
But
my
but sorry to cut you off, but is it better that they learn it on their own, or is it better that
no, I'm not.
you gift
So I'm not
wrapped it?
talking about the best way for them to learn it.
Yeah,
I'm saying
that's what I
that is
meant. I'm sorry, I should have clarified.
right.
Like, you shouldn't expect for your child to know why shrimp is bad if you don't talk to them about shrimp. You understand? Because if the internet teaches them about shrimp, they may start eating shrimp. Not to say they'll never hear about it and never learn about it, but they won't learn about it in the way that you want them to learn.
Exactly. And I think okay, so first of all, you have to teach your children about their bodies, about sex. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to go into graphic detail and break it down, but you need to have a discussion with them, right? And you don't need to wait until this child is 15 to go buy her no contraceptive. You need to teach her from early. Listen, there's going to come a time in your life when your body is going to want some dirty, okay? And okay, now listen.
Yo.
And for the boy, the same thing, right? Because it's natural. And with the food that our children are eating, filled with hormones, these kids are experiencing sexual urges from as early as 9. And that has to be a conversation. It's uncomfortable, yeah. But you have to meet your kids where they are. And you have to say, listen, the little veggie jumping, the little penis getting hard. Like, we have to have this discussion. Like, oh my God. Yeah, okay. But we're going to talk about it.
What
Right?
age? What
Talk
age is
about,
that?
that's what I'm saying. It depends on your child maturity, right? But you meet them where they are. If you see, because
How do you figure out your child's maturity though?
you talk to them. That's why having transparent conversation. So what your kids talking at school? I'm going to tell you the truth. A child will not lie to you unless you tell them to lie. Okay, I'm going to tell you. So I remember talking, I used to babysit these kids and they were probably in 2nd grade. And this little girl will come and tell me, yo, the boys in the class are touching up the girls on their boob. And I was just like, okay, so this is when the mom needs to have a conversation, right? And
Yep.
she was,
You know what though? Sorry to cut you off.
7 or 8. She was about 7 or 8. So listen to me. This is 2nd grade, right? This is not second, this is not 9th graders. And this is when you have to talk to your kids. Don't let nobody touch your areas. If you want to get a little doll, bring in the doll. If you don't want to, whatever it is, and you need to break it down. Like, these are your special body parts and nobody should touch them, right?
Dre, yeah, let me interject. This is where beating is very, very, very a fine line, because if you beat a dog enough, you will create a fearful dog. And guess what? If you beat a child enough, you will create a child that doesn't necessarily want to run to you and tell you when something happens because they're afraid that you will beat them. You understand? Based on how you've reacted in the past. So my mother used to beat me, and when I got molested, she was the last person I was thinking about telling. And then when I told her in my adulthood, she's like, yo, why didn't you tell me when you was younger? And I'm like, because you didn't set an environment for me to feel like I could tell you anything. So why would I tell you that? You get what I'm saying?
Yes. So what I would say is your mom did not understand, based on the stuff you tell me about your parenting. Your mom did not understand what it meant to be a good parent, much less a good mom.
I think she was just trying to survive, though, which is the case with.
Well, that's not.
Imagine just this cycle. Imagine a
Alice,
cycle.
stop being defensive right now.
Hold on, Dre.
Ask the question, let me answer.
Okay.
So, that said, a lot of what you learned growing up from your mom is not what an average responsible parent would do for their child, right? Give you an example. Rochelle, how often does your kid sleep over at other people's house?
My kids don't sleep over at other people's houses.
Okay.
But I'm sure, like, if they do come to me, they already know the questions I'm going to ask. So, for them to do that, they already would feel comfortable with that person. They would have that trust already. So I would trust their judgment. But my kids don't sleep over anybody's house.
Right. And I'm not trying to disparage anyone who allowed their kids to sleep at other people's house. My kids also don't sleep at people's house. I haven't met a person yet that I would allow my kids to sleep at their house, right? I'm saying these things to say that there are things that I think a responsible parent will not do to their children. And even me as a responsible parent. So, right, you say I beat my kid, right? But while I'm beating my kid, right, I'm telling her the reason she's getting a spanking, and I am afterwards going to have a conversation with her to find out why she continues to do what it is I just spanked her for, and what she's going to do to change it. Because the beating isn't just a beating for beating's sake. The beating is to create the effect, the long-lasting effect of when you touch the stove and it burns you, you no longer will go back and touch that stove again. So the beating.
But Dre, what if the stove becomes the parent?
You gotta add something to that, because
that one was big.
Object.
That one was big. What if being burnt is the parent?
Not the parent, but probably the lesson that needs to be taught.
No, I'm saying,
reprimand be the parent?
What if the parent? What if it goes from being, okay, you're getting beat because you stole something, to hold on, nobody else is beating me except for my parent. So this is the person that's mad at me for stealing. So now they're the fire, and I want to stay away from them.
Oh,
You understand what I'm
okay,
saying?
I get it.
It goes
So,
from being the thing that you trying to teach them to you.
right. So I think if the beating is done in abstract, which means you're something happened and you just get beaten and then nothing else is done around whatever it is you got beaten for. I think
Yeah.
I think then yeah, I can see the parent being the stove, for your analogy. But I think when you have conversations with, because look, I have a short temper. I have a very short temper. So I have to control myself when I deal with my kids. You understand? So
Yeah.
I can't, certain things I can't do, and certain things I wait before I do to my kids or with my kids, because I know my fuse is short. So I have to talk to them as much as I can until I get fed up. And when I get fed up, you're getting a spanking. And now I'm going to say, how many times did I say that to you before? How many times do I have to say it to you so you can understand to not do it or understand why I'm telling you not to do it?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, I'm not just beating them and then that's it. So now you're mad at me, right? Because I inflicted pain on you. And so you're creating this kind of thought process in your mind that parent equals beat equals angry equals stay away.
Right.
Now my daughter and my son says things to my wife that they don't say to me, and my wife don't beat my kids, right? So maybe all the effort I'm putting in to make sure that they understand um, that I am approachable, maybe it's not working, right?
Mm.
But the point of the matter is there are two parents in the house.
When you say they say things, they feel more comfortable talking to her, or they
Yeah, they
disrespect
say
her.
things. No, no. Well, that too. Both of those
Okay.
things. They feel
So it worked
comfortable
both
talking to
ways.
her.
Right.
Bro, I've walked over to my daughter and slapped her for the
Yeah.
way she's talking to my wife.
Yeah.
And I've said to her, that is my wife you're talking to. Your mother. You're not going to disrespect her in my presence. And my wife is standing right there.
Being disrespected.
Yes, sir.
Mm. Wow.
Okay? So
Yeah.
so I'm saying this to say there are two parents in the house.
Yeah.
We both can't be
Good
soft.
cop.
Exactly. We both cannot be good cops. Somebody gotta, because
Or else
kids,
you're gonna raise a little Timmy Turner.
I don't know who that is, but kids are like cats. They always want to test the boundaries. They always want to test the rule. They always want to see how far they can go. And
Mm.
you are the parent, you set the parameter. And every time you challenge the barrier, there has to be a consequence. And if I'm talking and the talking ain't working, right? Because whatever it is, if I'm talking and the talking is not working, we have to try something else.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to jump over the moon and the stars and the galaxy like y'all two. I'm going, the next best thing is a whooping. I tried talking. You don't want to get whooping? Okay, let's talk it out.
You
I
taking a
talk to
straight
you.
route.
I talk to you. I talk to you. It's not working. All right, my turn now.
But it doesn't have to jump from talking to whooping. It can turn from talking
No, I feel him.
to
I feel
That's
that.
a your
positive,
thing,
negative
I
Rochelle.
feel that.
reinforcement.
I feel that.
That is your thing. My talking was the negative reinforcement. Listen. I don't think taking, listen, my house, we have a whole section of the house for toys. They have tablets. Like, you take a toy, they go play with the tablet. You take the tablet, they go play with the toy. or they go sit down and play with one another, or they sit down and watch the other one play with his tablet. Like, I'm not jumping through all those hoops to see which one of those things are gonna work. I mean, no whooping is gonna work. I'm gonna try that one because the talking didn't work.
Yeah. Let me ask a question. This is for Rochelle. Rochelle just brought up about for JJ and PP. Us as men, parenting a son and a daughter. How do you have the conversation about sexual activities with your child, Rochelle, in order to make them a great model citizen sexually, not wanting to give their body to everybody, understanding sex, understanding everything? How and what age do you have that talk?
So I think I answered.
And should a man do that, or is that only the woman's job?
It's parents. If you're a parent, right, it's your job. It's not only for a woman or only for a man, or men should only speak to boys and women only speak to girls. No, I think if you can have both parents in the room, that would even be more amazing, because now you're getting even a more holistic approach than just a female point of view or just a male point of view. And again, the age to do this, there is no right age. I think it depends on the maturity of your children, right? And again, if you are putting your kids before a tablet, before a phone, they can spell, and these kids are mad smart. You don't even have to spell. You can say, Siri, what is this? They trust me. We may not think they are Googling these things. Trust me. They are. They are. And I think the
what do you
best
teach
way,
them about, like porn and stuff like that? And
yeah, you have to, because unless you have parent control, and when you go to school, there's no parent control in that classroom. And a lot of our kids
what
are
is
learning.
parent control? What does that mean?
So parent control is you can lock the tablet, you can lock the phone, right? So there's websites that your kids won't be able to go on, right? And you have control. You can shut off the tablets, shut off the phones at a certain time. So you can get all of that with your parent control from whichever provider that you have. All right. Another thing, when you go into that classroom, when they leave out of your presence and they go into that classroom, you have no control over what they hear, how they hear it, or what they experience. However, if you are ahead of that, and their classmates are talking about sex and all these different things where you have no guidance, you have no say in that conversation, jump ahead of that. Make sure you're ahead of it, and you tell them, listen, your vagina as a woman, that is your sacred, most trusted, most precious gift. That is something that you just don't give away to anybody. You're not going to let anybody just touch that. You're not just going to it's like having your most precious toy. And again, it depends on the age in which you are saying this to them, right? Some people, I mean, they are good videos on YouTube. If you don't want to say it, there are videos on YouTube that you can actually watch, and both of you can watch it together and then have a discussion. How did you feel about that? What are some key points that you saw coming out of this video, right? What part made you uncomfortable? Why were you uncomfortable, right? So there are many ways that we are able to breach that topic with your child. And again, it depends on their maturity. Right. And I think we have to be transparent. Oh, so mommy, did you have sex? Yes, I did. And I wish I never did it when I did, because I didn't save it for somebody special. You know, or say, no, I waited on your father. And I think it was more special because I didn't give it up just like that. I waited and I made sure that when we shared our special gift or special prize, it was with who we wanted it to be. Right. So that way, again, transparency is everything. Just like what Dre said, right? It's not what you say, it's what you're doing, right? So if you are living a life where every 2 days, they see 3 different men or 3 different women coming in. Obviously, it's not so special. So therefore, I can go give my body to everybody too. Again, it's how we live. But if
Set
they
an
see
example.
exactly, if they see you living that life where, oh my gosh, I only see mommy with daddy or, blah, 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 then okay, then it is special. And I need to save that for somebody that I think is special. And then
Yeah.
as that door open, I am here. If anybody makes you feel uncomfortable, if anybody's touching you, if anybody looks at you, if anybody is making you feel as if they want to take your special prize, then I am that person you can come and talk to, because this is something that is very, very serious. And I want you to know you are my prize. And I put you up there on the pinnacle, and I would never want anybody to hurt you. So you need to come and talk to me. We need to have that discussion. If at any point in time if that has ever happened, or if that will ever happen in the future. And that's a way to get our kids involved. That's a way to get before their conversations at school so that they can actually have a fair hand in this fight. Because when these are the boys, these are the girls at school, the older kids at school, sometimes even teachers and parents, you don't know who is really in schools working with our kids. We really don't know. So we have to make sure that we educate our kids. And again, by investing in them now, you're going to reap that benefit later on in your life when it's your turn. They will not want to listen to you because you listened to them when they were younger. Dre, what about you?
Yeah, Dre. Hold on, Rochelle. I just want to say, you're like when my mother gave me that drink at 15, that made me like get over the hype when I was older of getting drunk. Like I was like, this is nothing, Yeah, Dre. I want to know, what type of conversation do you have with your son about sex in order for him to become a model citizen? And do you want him to be a player, or do you want him to be a one-woman
man? 2 daughters
man?
and one son, but you want Dre to talk about the son, but not his daughters?
Yeah, because you talked about the daughters.
I talk about men and boys and girls.
Well, I was asking about your kids, but yeah, I want Dre to talk about the son. Like, what do you want, Dre? Do you want your son to be a player, or do you want him to like be a one-woman man? And how do you approach that?
A player, I want him to crush a lot. I'm just
you knew it was coming to you, Dre.
So he's 5, so I don't have many conversations with him about sex currently. But what I do want is I do want him to save himself till he's married. I think that protects your innocence in some sense, as a human being, not having numerous partners in that way. I think that because I feel like the more promiscuous you are, the more you open the cage and let out, I don't know, like I feel like when a person has a whole heap of sex, like
it makes each experience less special.
Well, not even that, like just interacting with them as a person, you can tell, like I'm having difficulty putting what it's like. Okay, so you ever heard somebody say this person killed a lot of people, you could see it in their eyes?
No,
I feel like when a person, you never heard that? Oh, okay.
Oh, when somebody kills a lot of people, you could see that they are a killer in their eyes.
Yeah, like their eyes are just cold. Like,
yeah, I know a couple of people like that.
right. So it's like, so it's the same way I feel like when a person has sex with a lot of people, like their
Yeah.
being just becomes like, you can tell, like, oh, maybe not everyone, but I could, when I'm in the presence of a hoe, I can tell.
Target neutralized.
Whether it's a girl or a boy, I can
That
tell
Jezebel spirit.
something
Tango down.
something is
Yeah.
about that person. I can tell when, like, yo, this person been around, and it comes out, like, it comes out in the way they talk, it comes out in the way they interact, it comes out in the way they carry themselves. Like,
Yep.
it's very few people who knows that this is something that they need to disguise, much less to be able to disguise it.
Yeah. I find that in women that talk about money a lot, how much money, you know what I mean? They need a guy with money and stuff. I don't
You
know
ain't
if
gonna
it's
be
just
talking
me.
about Rochelle in front of her face.
Wow, Dre. Wow. Thank
Hold
That's
up.
funny.
I
Yo,
was just
Drake.
listening to the episode where you was like, if you, what did you say? Something about you can do whatever you want, long as you pay my bills.
Hybrid
You can Venmo,
relationships.
Cash App.
Yo, Dre, similarly to what you were saying, Rochelle is a good girl. I'm gonna know that. Similarly to what you were saying, I
Being
sleep with
pussy.
10, I sleep with 10, 20, 30 women, and I get to my 31st woman. Now, what I'm doing is I'm comparing the best parts of all those people that I love. Oh, I love this girl's sex. Oh, I love the way this girl looks. And in my mind, the next person I meet, if they don't have all these little parts that I'm comparing, because I've had sex with so many people, then I'm disappointed in a way. And I think that's what it does too. Like having multiple sex partners, it makes you put your expectations way, way too high and compare, you know? So I agree with you.
Gotcha. But as it relates to talking to my, like, I don't even know what I'm gonna do when it's time to talk to my daughter, because I'm like, I don't know, like, but I think what's gonna happen is she's gonna learn it first outside, and then it's gonna come into my house. Because my wife is telling me about some fast little girl that that she's friends with, and a lot of the things that we are not we're not ready to talk to our daughter about, she's talking to her about. Like, I told
And
you.
that is the problem. That is exactly what I'm saying, Dre. So it is at this point that you have to get ahead of the game. So if
You
you
gotta
want to
call
go
my
on
wife.
YouTube,
I'm not
listen.
doing it.
No,
Call
no,
my
no.
wife
Listen,
and tell
listen,
her.
listen. Hold on. You have good videos on YouTube that talks about sexuality. You have a lot of kids' books. I can actually send you some links to that. Some nice little children's book that talks about your body in a children's way.
Send them come.
All right. And then you can actually start, because your daughter is very, very smart. She is very mature for her age. You can have this conversation, but you can pull from her. So you don't have to be the one talking. You can watch the video with her and say, talk to me about the video. How do you feel about it? Like, what made you comfortable? What made you uncomfortable? What are your friends saying in regards to videos like this? Right? That's when you're really going to know and hear all the tea. And then you know how to get ahead of that conversation. Because again, I said this, it's not what you are controlling in your home, it's what they're going to be facing at school. A lot of these kids, you don't know the house they're living in and the things that they're seeing and hearing and what they're watching on their tablets, on their phones. Because a lot of times there's no parental lock on their devices. So a lot of our kids, unfortunately, are watching porn. A lot of our kids are watching porn very, very early, unfortunately. That's a whole different topic that I don't even know if we're ready to go into today. But yeah, it is a real thing. So we as parents have to get ahead of this, because this is something that is actually happening out here right now.
All right. This is what I'm going to say. Thank you guys for asking. I'm gonna say God gave you a gift. God wrapped up a special gift for you. Gave you a present. And you're allowed to share this present. But the more that you share it, the less special it becomes. Something like
You're
that.
talking about sex.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's gonna be something like that. It's gonna be like you're only allowed to unwrap this gift one time, and you'll never be able to unwrap it again.
So the cat is out the bag.
Never get back in there. You understand? Something like that.
I disagree.
Once you pull that string,
no, I disagree.
nah, listen, the virginity needs to be as important as it was back in the day for men.
I agree. But at the same time, for those that have faltered along the way, $100 does not lose its worth because it passed through several hands, because it fell in the mud, because you
Guess
put it
what?
in the washer.
It's never going to
$100.
look as shiny as that brand new.
No,
$100.
but it still has the worth, and it can still buy the same thing it could have.
Me
bought when it
want
just came
clean
off the
bill
pack.
in my wallet. Me no want a dirty bill in my wallet.
Well, Andy, what if you're a dirty bill in your wallet? Think about that. Okay.
Then guess what? I'm gonna use the clean ones first.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you
Rochelle.
do the clean or the dirty ones. I'm just saying that we should never tell our kids because you lost it. Oh, now you're lost and now you're not valued at anything. No, you can say you can make a mistake. Nothing is wrong with that. However, you cannot be making the mistake over and over and over, right? But just know that there's always a chance for you to come back to redeem yourself. There's always a chance to be shiny and new again, right? There's always a chance.
Nah, you know what? I'm gonna tell her.
You can't.
I'm gonna tell her that $100.
Up, I know you're done. You don't have no value.
It's actually gonna be a $5 bill, and I'm gonna say once you use that $5 bill, you only will get 4 back.
Oh, jeez.
We ain't gonna say 100 and you use it and it's still 100. No, sir.
That's another good point. And also, once you start using that $100 bill, inflation take hold. So whether if you use it and you get 99 back, or you're using $5 and get 4 back, or inflation take it. Either way, it's not the same anymore, darling. And it's the same for guys. Like once a guy starts having sex, there was a time when there was value placed on the innocence of us to finding out about this thing called sex or lovemaking, whatever terminology you want to use, right? There was a time when there was heavy weight being put on that, and it was valued a lot more than it is valued now. Nowadays, you hear women saying and guys saying they're not marrying anybody unless they have sex with them. Right? Yeah. And the reason they're saying that is because they have had a taste of the jackfruit.
The devil,
my brother.
The devil.
Right?
Listen, I have heard horror stories and I will kill people. So I don't play that game. That's a serious game that I'm not going to play. So
let me ask you a question. Rochelle. And we kind of are way off of the subject about what our kids owe us. But I'm going to ask you this question. So let's say you're pretty much saying you're not
buying puss in bag.
Okay, you're not buying the puss in bag.
Nope.
So you want to let out the puss out the bag, and we're saying keep the puss in the bag. Fine. So you're not buying puss in a bag.
Nope.
And so how many times do you want to use this $100 bill before we can say that is no longer a good $100 bill? Tell me, please.
So you're missing the point of the $100 bill analogy. We're looking at it from two different perspectives.
That's true.
My
That
point
true.
is, it's not a matter of using the $100 bill, therefore it's now a $50 bill. No, it's now a $10 bill. No, it's a $5 bill. No, my point is, you are a $100 bill, and no matter what happens to that $100 bill, it still values $100 because $100 is still $100.
Yes,
right?
and no matter how much you take crack, you're still gonna be the same innocent you.
I'm saying there's always a chance for you to reform. I'm not casting people out and judging them and casting them out and saying, oh my God, if you do that, there's no redemption. You're gonna be stuck out there. It makes no sense. You even try to redeem yourself because you no longer have value. I will never tell anybody that, because I believe in a loving creator who doesn't matter what I did. If I come to him in repentance, I will get my full worth. He knew what I was gonna do before I did it, and he still forgave me and placed me at the same place I was before I did the deed. And I think we as people are too harsh on others. And yes, people make mistakes. Yes, people falter. We have faltered, or parents or grandparents,
Yes.
right? They have 6 kids and none of the fathers are the same. We don't talk about that, right? But yet we want to look down on our kids. We want to look down on the young people. And
That's
when
true.
they make mistakes, we tell them, oh, you're trash and you can never get redeemed. I know your $100 is worth $5. Who are we
Rochelle,
to say that?
that's so true, because there's a whole bunch of porn stars that have gotten married and never told their husband they were
And
porn
if
stars.
anybody want to be used, okay.
Hypocrisy, I tell you. Hypocrisy, I tell you.
Yo,
Hypocrisy.
but there's also a whole bunch.
Hypocrisy.
Listen, there's also a whole bunch of porn stars that when they get older have killed themselves because of what they did in their past.
And again,
Or their kids are like, mommy, the kids teased me today about you.
and that is why we have to be careful what we do, because nothing stays where it is. But it doesn't mean that you have lost your value. No, it doesn't mean you have lost your value. Just because, listen, this is, and this is how I feel. I believe people who are the harshest, who judge the harshest on certain situations, they're the ones struggling with that same sin, right? I remember when I was studying psychology and we were talking about homophobia, and they did a research and they looked for the men who were the most homophobic. Oh, we don't want them man around here, right? The biggest ones, right? And they placed them in a room in the dark, and they placed electronic pulse reader on the men, right? And they let them watch a homophobic video. No, it was porn. It was gay porn. And the men that were the most homophobic had the biggest erections watching the video. So that goes to show that the very thing that we speak out the most against is always the thing that we are actually fighting against. And that is why we feel guilty. And that's why we're so harsh on the children. Yes. And I think that is the biggest problem that we need to talk about with your own therapist. That has nothing to do with me. And I think we just need to give people a chance. We need to love everybody. And we just need to be transparent with our kids. And I think that is where our problem is.
I do so recall you saying, I love this forgiving Rochelle here.
Yes.
But I
but now go pick it one man
recall-
if cheat doing a dream, me not forgive
that's exactly where I'm going.
What?
Like just couple of episodes ago, she was like, if he cheats, I'm done. He's done. We're done. All of a sudden, she's
Because
forgiving, and everyone is still worth the same. And
Yes.
blah blah blah.
I think she's talking about to somebody that doesn't know that person at all. Similarly, how a man will marry a porn star and not know that 200, 400 men ran through her.
No, but Ali, no, that's not what I'm
Rochelle,
saying. I'm
Rochelle,
saying if it is
Rochelle.
my husband, That's not my child. If it is my child, I will have forgiveness overload. If it is a grown man, he needs to
Yeah.
learn to keep his penis in his pants. I'm
But
sorry.
your child will grow up to be an adult.
Good. But will still be my child. My husband, my partner is not my child.
Mm.
We're talking about children. Okay.
Yes.
Isn't making sense right now.
Okay.
And with that said, this is another amazing discussion from the world's greatest podcast, Gwan podcast.
Whoa.
Yo, big up all of the people in the world that's giving up their body and saving themselves to marriage for
Yes.
marriage.
Good job.
All of y'all are loved and God's children regardless, right?
Yes.
Yes,
Amen.
but you know what? The
Amen.
same as the virgin.
Not no gusto.
Don't lie,
Not no
don't
gusto.
listen
Not
to
no
Rochelle.
gusto. You
Don't
are worth the
listen to
same. In
Rochelle.
God's eyes, you are.
Whatever, no God, you are married. You're not marrying God. In addition,
Yo, also sending blessings to the 19 people that died today in the
Yeah.
Bronx.
Oh wow.
in the Bronx,
Including 9 children, at 181st Street.
what happened?
Fire.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, blessings to
Yes,
those
it's
people.
two. It's actually two. One was called by you know, like the little bikes that they have, the scooter bikes that they charge.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
One of those batteries exploded. That was in one house. The other house, it was from one of the heater from
In the same building?
No, it's a different building. It's two different fires happened today.
Oh my God.
One was from lithium battery from that, and then one turns out to be from the space heater.
Yes. Big blessings to those kids, man.
Yeah.
So sad. Love. Sending love out to those families of the people that have to experience that pain.
Mm.
All right,
Yeah.
fellas.
All
All
right.
right. Have a good
That's it.
night.
Have a great week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.